Hello everyone, in this video we'll be learning about how to count subatomic particles in both atoms as well as ions. At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to deduce the number of protons, neutrons and electrons in both atoms as well as ions, and also look at how we can use symbols in atoms and ions to deduce the number of protons, neutrons and electrons. So let's begin. So let's recap a little bit of what we've learned the previous time. So over here we have a nuclide notation, and in this one, the top number here, can you remember what it is called? Right, this is called the nuclear number. And what about the number at the bottom? Right, that is called the proton number. So let's try. The proton number tells us the number of protons. So the number of protons will be the same as the proton number, so this will be 4. This is an atom because there's no charge, right? So the number of protons and number of electrons must be the same, it's 4. And because the nuclear number is 10, so the number of neutrons is 6. Right? If you have not mastered this, please make sure you master it in the previous videos. Right? So the next thing is that I have 4 electrons, so the electronic configuration will be a 2.2. Why? Because the first shell can only hold a maximum of 2 electrons. So the remaining 2 electrons will go to the second shell. Alright, so this is just a brief recap. Now, what happens if I have a 2 plus ion over here? So again, this is the proton number. Right? Again, this is the proton number. So the number of protons must always stay the same. That's the identity, right, of the atom. So this is proton number, it has to stay the same, 4. Right? The number of neutrons doesn't change when you become an ion. So again, that's 10 minus 4. Right? 10 minus 4, and that will give me 6. Now, for the electrons. Right? For me to become a 2 plus, right, that means my protons must be more than my electrons. My positive charge must be more than my negative charge. By how many? I must be more by 2. I must 2 plus. So if there are 4 protons and the number of protons must be 2 protons more than electrons, so therefore the number of electrons has to be 2. I've lost 2 electrons to become 2 plus. Right? So now the electronic configuration of a X2 plus ion would just be 2. So take note that the electronic configuration of the X2 plus ion as well as the X atom is different. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, now we have Y minus. So the number of protons, simple. We'll take it from the proton number, 9. Number of neutrons, we'll take this number, 17, minus the proton number, and that will be 8, I believe. Right, and then the number of electrons, because I see it's a negative charge, means that the number of electrons must be not more than the number of protons. How much more? It must be more by 1. Right, so now I have 9 protons. I have 9. How can I have more than 1? So that means electrons, I have 10. Okay, so the electronic configuration would therefore be 2.8 because the first shell can only hold a maximum of 2 electrons. Second shell, a maximum of 8. So that's a total of 10 electrons. Okay, now let's try to deduce what's the charge of this particle over here. So I have 13 protons, 15 neutrons, and 10 electrons. And we have learned that charge only matters for the charged particles. So the proton is a +1 charge. Neutrons, no charge. Electrons, -1 charge. So we are only interested in number of protons and number of electrons. I know that there are 13 protons here, so there's a total of 13 plus charges here. And there's a 10 electrons, so a total of 10 minus electrons. So it's like going up 13 floors up the lift and then coming back down 10 floors. So the overall charge is 13 plus minus the 10 minus, so that will be a total of 3 plus. Okay, 3 plus, not plus 3, 3 plus. Okay, now let's end this session with something a bit more difficult. So this is what we call a polyatomic ion. And this ion has a special name. It's called a hydroxide ion. And the hydroxide ion consists of an oxygen atom chemically bonded to a hydrogen atom, and this whole cluster of atoms, right, has a charge, a negative charge. So how do I determine the number of protons? You need to remember, right, that the number of protons cannot change. So oxygen originally has 8 protons. Yeah, it has 8 protons. And hydrogen originally has 1 proton. So the protons cannot run anywhere. I have 1 oxygen and 1 hydrogen. Oxygen originally has 8 protons. Hydrogen originally has 1 proton. So the number of protons remain the same, total of 9. Okay, how do I determine the number of electrons? Originally it will be neutral, right? 9 electrons. However, you see that there is a 1 negative charge for the whole hydroxide ion. So how do I do this? That means I need to have 1 extra electron as compared to the protons. So therefore the number of electrons has to be 10. Alright, so please go and think about it, practice a little bit, right? And then once you are ready, please do your mastery check. Right? Practice hard, all the best. Bye bye.